Right, welcome. The Los Angeles Tribune is sponsoring this event today, and I am so excited to have Ashkan Tabibnia and Rabbi Daniel Eliolani. Could you please help me know how to
Yeah,
pronounce their name?
Illusion. Illusion.
Lillian. Lillian. Yes, thank you, Rabbi Daniel, for being with us as we commemorate International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And you two are such beautiful souls. And as we think about the Holocaust, many times we focus on the atrocities, which we never want to forget. And that is one of the purposes of having International Holocaust Remembrance Day is to help people to remember so that this never happens again. And yet, it is also a day to have a call to action to promote greater love, greater respect, and unity and diversity, which you two are such beautiful examples of shining so much love in the world. So, thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And I wanted to introduce Ashkan Tabibnia. He is the founder of 90210 Enterprises and the ALC Council. He is also the co-founder of Mindatorium, which promotes positive media, which is also the mission of the Los Angeles Tribune. And I'd like to thank Mo Rock for sponsoring this event today. Unfortunately, he was sick and he was unable to be with us today. He really wanted to be here today, but he apologizes that he couldn't make it. And so I wanted to let you know that he offers his full support, that the Los Angeles Tribune stands in solidarity with International Holocaust Remembrance Day and honoring those who have gone on before, and also promoting uplifting news and uplifting messages to create more love in the world. And Rabbi Daniel, I would like to introduce you, and I know that you are Ashkan's rabbi, correct?
I have the honor and privilege.
Yes, that is wonderful. And also the founder of J House in Beverly Hills, which helps to educate youth. And so many times when youth have not gone through some of the adversity that some of us who are older have, it's hard to really have empathy and really understand how important it is to remember these things. So I'm excited to hear about how you are helping the youth to develop empathy and in their interactions with others and appreciating what other people have gone through so that they can have greater love in their relationships as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Ashkan, tell me a little bit about how you and Rabbi Daniel came to know each other.
Thank you for having us here, Karen Hall. Past few months, I've been seeing you channeling empathy and light for the past few years. Thanks to Morak and this organization that he has curated, taking a publication and making unbiased and now make it one of the most important tribune in the world, showcasing various causes. And as we and him always talk about, the Jewish community, especially here in LA and San Diego and America, is very dear to him. It's very personal to him. And before we start, I wanted to thank him again and the whole Los Angeles Tribune team, everyone, and you that made this happen in under 24 hours. And also thanking Rabbi Danny to come with us today. Today is not just about another interview and another conversation. It's what's needed. It might be, as people are watching out there, one person at a time, one community, one city, one state, one country, or globally. When we do this ourselves, starts with us, that means actually we have done the work. When we are like what you did last night and what Los Angeles Tribune is doing, it's needed all over the world for diversity. And because today, just for people who out there are going to see this and are watching, for Holocaust, it was an atrocity, something that we want to discuss right now. It's very deep and has many, many different ways how we can commemorate and how we can learn from it. Really, there are two different dates that we have for that commemoration. One is called Yom HaShoah, which is the international. And today is actually the day that Russians helped us in Auschwitz to free these whatever was left of Jewish people and also non-Jews. So it's a
Mhm.
very special day because United Nations decided in 2005, I think, to make this another day internationally for recognition and education, right, for diversity and what we're doing. So not just they learn from what happened to us because we're a Jew, any minority, any race, any when you just don't have tolerance and respect, what would can happen. So it's
Exactly.
a global crusade that you have taken on today. And now coming back to Holocaust, what happened to 6 million Jews, it's something that is not fathomable. But today we will try to together to have a conversation, and also not just reminiscent about what happened, also about kind of not celebration, but we are here. We are a living legacy of those 6 million Jews that have no more voice. We are their voices. We are all over the world in different ways, from United Nations to all the countries and all the uh, different medium like media that care. They are doing that. So today we're going to be focusing here with Rabbi Danny, because the reason I been known to have amazing relationships also in Jewish community. We have Jewish connection network, but I decided to bring not just Rabbi Danny because it's my personal rabbi, because all of us have a job to educate what God has given us our innate ability to do good based on that. But Rabbi Danny is doing something beyond. Yes, such a young rabbi, but yes, he has a big family. Yes, he has a lot of responsibilities, and it's not easy, as you guys know, to live here in Los Angeles or Beverly Hills. But what I have seen this gentleman, I I said in my head, if today we want to really not celebrate but respect somebody, would be Rabbi Danny because of what he's doing. I'm going to hear more. As my high school, which is the Simon Wiesenthal Center, Museum of Tolerance worldwide, Rabbi hired that, I was educated on early on from 1988. You know, it's very important. The most important thing to pass to the next generation is, of course, the stories, but is the education. It's the education, education, education. And that's why we have Rabbi Danny today, and again yourself, to go through what does that mean, what happened, how do we understand it, do we, and how do we treat our young generation now, teenagers, people who are going to be our future leader. What are we going to tell them that's going to stay with them, so when they become the senators, the head of the countries, they will remember, so they do same thing that Morok is doing, so they do the same thing that Karen is doing, because it's called generation to generation. I'm sure there was a time in your life that there were people who educated you about this, and now you're giving back. And as Moore is giving back, as he's using Los Angeles Tribute to give back, just to give a basis on this. And now the floor is yours to talk to Rabbi Danny and go towards our wonderful memoriam.
Yes, thank you so much. And I appreciate that so much about Mo Rock, that his goal is to be a voice to the voiceless. And both of you are doing that very same thing, because you represent those who cannot speak anymore, and to help their memory live on and their legacy to live on. I often say that we stand on the shoulders of giants, and those who have gone on before provide such a foundation of goodness that has blessed my life. And now to know both of you, it is the same. And so, um, Rabbi Danny, I'm going to bring you up. And yes, for such a young rabbi, it's so impressive what you are doing. Could you tell us about you and about how you came to decide to become a rabbi? How did that come about in your life?
First of all, thank you both, Ashkan, for bringing me here today. Karen, thank you for hosting us. I want to begin with the action of kindness, the charity box, the charity here, help another fellow person. So my name is Rabbi Danny Lulian. My father is also a rabbi from Italy. He actually is the founder of the GEM Center in Beverly Hills. Over 40 years serving the community over here. When the main rabbi here in Beverly Hills for the Jewish community. And so my father is a follower of the leader of the Jewish community. Is called the Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson of blessed memory, known as the Rebbe, which on the day of his birthday, every president of the United States calls that day Education Day. His name is Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the Rebbe. Here's a picture. Beautiful. Thank you, Ashkan. So the Rebbe was came from Russia, and the organization is called Chabad, which basically does outreach to Jews and does humanitarian aid to everybody. For example, I spent 9 years in Cuba doing humanitarian aid in Cuba, and 43 other countries, third world countries, doing work for them. I'm not that old. I was 37 years old. But so I saw my father, dedicating his life morning and night to the community, helping others, following in the footsteps of the Holy Rebbe we just saw in the picture of, and I wanted to follow that. I really felt that's really my purpose in life, and there's nothing better than that. Nothing better than seeing another person, being there for another student, another person. I live across Beverly Hills High School, which is about 80% Jewish students, and just till 12:45, Ashkan called me. I was actually having a little club over there with a Holocaust survivor there, actually at the high school today, and thank God, this country is blessed materially. There's so much abundance. I spend every day the past couple of weeks at the shelter, and the sign says, "Please don't bring clothing, don't bring food. There's so much abundance." Now, going to Cuba and many other countries, my old shoes that are ripped, they'll beg me for those shoes. And here in this country, there's so much.
Right.
So money is not missing, thank God. Material is not missing, but meaning, purpose in life, that's missing. I played tennis at the 10,000 Santa Monica building, very upscale building, and I was waiting for my car to be picked up, and I see a 16-year-old boy come out of a Lamborghini, touching to the ground. 16-year-old boy is not Jewish boy, Latin boy. Rabbi, how are you? I'm like, how are you? We love everybody. We get to everybody. We have a drug prevention program. We help kids with drugs. It's Rabbi, how are you? It's good to see you. I didn't know who he was, but of course I embraced him. I given time to listen to him. More than anything in life, you want someone to listen to. Just listen to me. Listen to me. I listened to him. Came out with his girlfriend. I came from the therapist. Have a bag of medicine for depression pills. I'm like, what are you missing? Are you healthy? Yeah, I'm healthy. Your parents are alive, married. What's the problem? I don't know. I'm sad. I'm not always happy. We're not missing anything in this country. Thank God. We're blessed. Beverly Hills, LA. People are missing purpose, life, meaningful life, sharing. I started with charity. Charity is not just with money. Charity means saying good morning to somebody, caring for somebody, reaching out to somebody. People are very lonely. You could have billions in the bank, but it's not someone purpose to listen, to care, show action of goodness and kindness. We're missing the boat. So what I do mainly is I work with teenagers at Beverly Hills High School and other public high schools. We have Jewish clubs, Jewish programs, as well as a drug prevention program, helping kids with different kind of addictions. And there's nothing more rewarding and special than that. I want to thank all my partners and supporters that help our programs. Thank God we've married off students and built that have beautiful families of their own, and that turned out before that when they came to us, they were grinding and want to go on suicide. And thank God today they have a wife and beautiful children and building, new communities and learning to share. Because in today's world, it's all about what can I get. Every billboard is, you deserve the best vacation, you deserve the best body, you deserve this. No, that doesn't make a person happy. What makes a person happy is giving. In Hebrew, love is ahava, which means really, in its root means, ahava means to give. In today's world, it's all about taking. What can I get from you? In Judaism, it's all about sharing and giving. That's real love. That's real purpose. That brings real joy. If it's all about me, I can never be happy.
Oh, that's so true. I just appreciate so much what you were saying, and I can see how you have so much fulfillment in your life because of how much you give and how much you are serving in so many ways, but especially with the youth. And I want to come back to that and talk some more about what you are doing. But thank you for sharing that, and thank you for the example of your father, and as he did charitable work, and his example as a rabbi. I just applaud you for choosing a life of service. And Ashkan, I would like to talk about you as well, because I know that you are just an amazing servant and you have that servant leadership heart. Could you tell us what was it in your life that helped you to learn to love to serve? Tell us about your family.
I was contemplating to use my beautiful backgrounds that I have, for this and the other. And Karen, you really invoked something in me the other night, last night, we were discussing about it's so important to talk about, Holocaust and the lessons that we learn. I learned something myself that sometimes actually the background should be the forefront. So it's kind of organized like usually, but you see hold on, let me move this way. You see my mom right there, and you see my father next to him. So they're right there. And this is one of the reasons I did not blur or I have nice backgrounds. I did not do that because of that. Just because today, it was because of them. My mentorship what came from my mother, being like yourself, a lady of empathy and love and caring about others, being positive and happy. She had her share of challenges that actually, thanks to Michelle Wilson and Mo Rock, she was showcased as the editorial in Los Angeles Tribune, right? But also my father, and my father he was blind, born blind, past blind, but he really taught me how to think. And he was a Sufi master. He was like a encyclopedia. So when you ask me on this amazing day that we want to learn, it's important to know that for those of us who are lucky to have our parents before we get mentors and coaches, the the two mentors that will never leave you, they have sacrificed everything to teach you everything, whether by telling you or by just living, or your parents or the single parents, or and not even biological. Those are the, to me, the most grandiose mentors that you could ever have. So
Yeah.
my story starts with them. My mom really was very hard in Iran as a Jew, even though we're kind of okay, but they still, there was anti-Semitism. I went to the Jewish school from 5 years old, but when I was like 9, 10, there was the Iraq War, and they were training me at 10 to go to the army. And even though I was in a Jewish school, they were just, it was different. They, you could see that my father felt that the time in 1987, I was 12 years old, even though blind, but he sacrificed everything to bring us to America, to give us this opportunity. And I'm very grateful to them. And then the schools I went in Iran, and the school that I went, as I mentioned, me and my sister had the privilege of going to prestigious, Museum of Tolerance, which is called the Simon Wiesenthal Center, that he was actually one of the survivors. And worldwide, Rabbi Hire, for 40 years, what they have done, it's been crazy. And me as a teenager growing up in high school, be able to practice my religion, learn, and also secular, and at the same time be very learned in the area of Holocaust. Even back in Iran, even though we are Jewish, there was not so much education. And I had a first hand when they were building the Museum of Tolerance. I was one of the ones just watching it going up. And when they had the grand opening in 1980, was it 92 or 1990? I was there because I helped. They put me part of the production. I helped out. I was, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a big benefactor. I think he really gave like 8 million, and they celebrated then. And that was my background. I kept in touch with all those people that Rabbi Cooper, and they've been one of my. There are many organizations I'm part of, but they've been the main reason why I also make it important to talk about these Holocaust and such a day. So there are more, but mostly my parents, my amazing high school, and aftermath, the Museum of Tolerance are responsible for my area. That why is it so important to me and my family, and I like to uh, place that forward by bringing people like Rabbi Danny, that they have they're in charge of the education of the way it has to be, some of the basic values that has been lost, bring it back. As you're going to hear more about him, it's very general the way I'm talking about it, because there's not an easy way to talk about why are we here today. you know uh, it's unfortunate what happened. It's like crazy. Back then there was media, there were newspaper, they were talking about this, even though there was a World War II, but they were talking about that they're practically taking thousands of Jews in a train, and they practically take them off, and here are the pictures, and and then they were just gassing them or burning them, like, at a time. And somehow the whole world decided to to just look the other way. And
Right.
even though there was a lot of media, so why I come to this medium, Los Angeles Tribune, so at least I can talk about some of those people who didn't have a voice, and also telling them Rabbi Danny's here teaching your great grandchildren. I know Rabbi Danny had the episode with one of our friends. He's going to tell his name. I did share the picture with you. He's at 102 years old. He attends as much as he can to every, Rabbi Danny and his father also, Gem Center, they also do the yearly Hanukkah at the famous Mayburn Hotel here in Rodeo Drive. And he comes to every single that he can to show his hand at 102 with a big smile that I'm here. They are not. They are forgotten. I am not. I'm here at 102. I see the new generation of Jewish and also non-Jewish people sprouting. Hate will go away, and love it always takes it over. So there was a long term of healing for Jewish people, of course, for the past 80 years. It has not been healed yet. There are thousands of survivors still living all over the world, especially Israel and here. There are thousands. There are 90s, hundreds, and very soon we're not going to have them anymore. So it's a very good opportunity, as they are still the living testament and a living legacy of what they were not able to do.
Right.
So
Right. Oh,
I
Ashkan,
celebrate.
I love your passion. Appreciate so much how much you care, and I know you gained that because of your mother and father's examples of how much they cared and how much they loved. And I remember when I very first saw you speak, I saw the pictures behind you, and you identified your mother and father, and spoke with such tenderness about them and how much you loved them, and it just made me love you immediately. I just had to reach out to you because of that, because of those values, and I see that in everything that you do. And so I appreciate so much how you carry on their legacy in the ways that you treat your fellow man and the ways that you serve, and now to help continue to provide this education for people like me, for my children, for my grandchildren. That's such a blessing. So thank you so much, Ashkan.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And Rabbi Danny, I would also like to have you tell us some more stories about the ways that you were educated to help you to understand, so that now you can share those stories with the youth.
Thank you. Ashkan, again, thank you for your beautiful words. Ashkan is a very passionate man. He has a gigantic heart. Somehow God fit that heart in a little body. And it's an honor and privilege.
Thank you, Rabbi.
I want to share with you from Viktor Frankl. You all know Viktor Frankl. He writes in his book, he knew which people would survive the Holocaust and which would not. Those who had a purpose or a plan. Someone had a book he was writing, he didn't finish the book. Someone had a child or relative he wanted to see. Those who had some purpose, some plan, some need to live for, lived. Those who didn't have such a plan, unfortunately, didn't have that drive to live.
Uh-huh.
We have to each ask ourselves, why did God create me? There are no two people have the same, what is it called? Fingerprint. Why? Because the day I was born, God says the world needs you. I need you in this world. Something that you can do that nobody can do. A guy's in a ship, massive ship of 5,000 passengers, and he decides to make a little hole in his bedroom. And say, absolutely not, you can't do that. Says, what's the problem? This is my room. I'm not bothering you. I'm not telling you what to do. This is, let me live. No. Your action can affect the entire ship. Every person's action in this world has a global effect. Every single human being has a purpose in this world. God had a plan and a purpose. God didn't create this world for no reason. The person who created a car, first time, he had a reason. The purpose was to go from A to Z. Everything has a purpose. Everything in the world has a purpose. Nothing is purposeless. Every person has a purpose in this world. he has to ask himself, what is my purpose? What can I give to this world? My actions can either complete the global purpose of God's creation of this world, or God forbid, hurt that purpose. God forbid. The world is very dark. There's negativity. There's the opposite of love. There's a Holocaust. We just experienced October 7th. There's sickness. There's jealousy in the world. There's pain in the world. Children dying. We face it and we feel the pain, but at the same time we know that darkness is only a lack of light. Light is actions of goodness and kindness, or Hebrew call it a mitzvah, a good deed. Each good deed is a spark of light. Little light can put away so much darkness. You know, someone said it. I take students to New York or Israel on trips, and last year on our trip to New York, one of the guest speakers said, a room, in order to have enough light, the light bulb takes 0.2% of the room to give the room a decent amount of light. The Jewish people are 0.2% of the world, not even 0.5% of the world.
Wow.
Our job is to be a light amongst the world, to share, to teach, to give, bring godliness in the world. You know, the Rebbe, which Ashkan, the Babich Rebbe, the greatest leader of Jewish people in New York, which passed away in 94, as a picture.
I'm going to bring his picture up here again.
Yes. Thank you, Ashkan.
There he is.
The Rebbe instituted in many public schools, especially in New York, LA, other places, a moment of silence. Every school, before they started school, a moment of silence to give thanks. You want to call it God, whatever you want to call it. A moment of silence to be thankful for what we have and to make a promise to this superpower, which I call God. You know, I'll do my best. Before school starts, education is not getting a 100-year math test. Education is not going to the best universities. You can go to the Germans, many of the Germans and the Nazis were educated people, they're very moral people, proper people. You know, you watch videos after killing many Jews or other people in the Holocaust, their cat got hit by a car and they were crying, and these are normal people. But what's important to know is we have to have a godly purpose. If the reason why I don't kill or I behave is because it makes sense to me, the same mind can change things and say, oh, if it's a Jewish person or this person is not healthy, a person a different color, it's okay, it's kosher. No. The reason why I keep the 10 Commandments is because God said so. God never changes. It doesn't say, oh, God is the same. Torah is the same. The Bible is the same. That never changes.
Right.
If it depends on people's morals, people's change. Today's everything changes. When I was a kid, the movie standards was one standard. Today, those standards completely changed from 34 years ago.
Yes.
We need to have a moment of silence, a moment. Every person, Jew or non-Jew, every creature, should have a moment to ask themselves, first of all, to thank God for all the blessings and one, be thankful. The first thing a Jew says in the morning is Modeh Ani, which means, God, thank you for giving me another day of life. Nothing's for granted. Thank you, God. Thank you, I'm able to walk. We only remember what we have when, God forbid, we lose it. You know, I was in Israel right now, you know, on a mission in Israel. And unfortunately, I met many soldiers or Jewish people, Israelis that lost body parts. Very, very painful. Somehow they're, you know, upbeat and they move on. But when we lose something, we realize what it is. The answer is thank God for what you have before, and there should be a reason for any reminders. So I want to end with a story, if I may. I know I'm talking too long, but there's one story which I've heard many years ago, and every day I chew it over. There's a Holocaust survivor I live with in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, New York. His name is Nissim Mangel, and he survived. This man was a child, and he was on Mengele's stretcher. Mengele was a doctor who did the procedures on Jewish men and women and children. He was put on Mengele's stretcher. Once you go on the stretcher, it's over. This guy was in a gas chamber, and he survived. Incredible story. Many, many stories. I heard from directly. But one story is an incredible message for each of us on the same note, and that is, he was saying we were transferred on these cattle cars, not on trains for human beings, on these cattle cars for animals. We were thrown in like sardines, piled over each other. There's no bathroom breaks, no breakfast breaks, 4 or 5 days nonstop. Majority of people that landed at this at the camps, half already dead already. As we were traveling, it was freezing cold. And an older man next to me, like on my side, on top of me, says, "Please rub me on my hands. I'm cold. Rub me. I'm freezing." So I started rubbing him for 2 minutes, and I'm exhausted. I'm worn out. The whole place stinks like people's urine, etc. The whole night, he says, this man is asking me to rub him. Rub my arms. I'm cold. Please. I'm freezing. In my mind, I'm like, wow, how does this guy not think about me? He's only thinking about himself. Doesn't he think I'm a child, I'm young, I haven't eaten, I'm like my parents? In the morning, little holes where you could breathe from, the sun was shining inside, and he realized everybody in that cattle car froze to death from frostbite, besides for 2 people. The old man and himself.
Oh my
By
goodness.
rubbing the other person, by taking care of the other person, helping the other person, he had the ability to tell me the story. He asked today, he's a grandfather, a great-grandfather, great-grandfather, thank God. Over 100 people are born today because of him.
Oh, Rabbi Danny, that is such a beautiful story. You know, his service to that man blessed him just as greatly. And they were both doubly blessed. And so that is such a beautiful thing, and that is how we find our purpose. And I remember when I read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, and I was so touched by that. I've read, ever since I've been a girl, I have read so many stories about the Holocaust. I think my first book was about Anne Frank and her diary, and about trying to find meaning in life and serving. You know, she talked about that very same thing. And then when I read about Viktor Frankl and all the horrific atrocities that he had gone through, and how he kept imagining his wife, and he was living, 1, for his wife to see her again, and 2, to help all of the other prisoners to continue to want to stay alive. And he had worked in that profession before, and then he used that same training there with all of the incredible despair. And he said that he had been writing a book, but they destroyed his manuscript. So he kept writing it in his head. And then as soon as he got out, he wrote that book in, I think, 5 days, because he had written it in his head so many times. And what a difference his book has made in so many people's lives, that we may not be able to change the circumstances, but we can focus on what we can control. And that is, we can work on our thoughts. And so thank you for bringing that up, because he's one of my heroes. And there's so many that, you know, Elie Wiesel, there's so many heroes that I think of from, and then this man that you were just talking about, I would love that. And you are both heroes to me. And so I appreciate both of you so much for your wonderful hearts and for the light that you spread. It reminds me of a quote that I heard once, and it said, darkness cannot extinguish light, but light can extinguish darkness. Even like you said, Rabbi Danny, just one little tiny flicker, you know, just one little match can bring light to the space, but the darkness cannot put out the light. That's really powerful to me, and it's such a profound truth, but it also relates to our goodness and our service as well. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I want to say, by the way, Viktor Frankl, his teachings initially were laughed at and were not accepted. And he was crying, and the Rebbe sent a messenger to his house, a woman, which I saw the video of her speaking. You can Google it. And this woman, with the Rebbe's message, pushed him and told him, write your book, move on, don't fall apart, teach your teaching. And today, thank God, you know, has changed countless of lives.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And what a difference to have someone believing in him and cheering him on, so that he would continue to go on, because I can imagine the despair would be horrific after realizing that he had lost his wife, and then, you know, all the pain to heal from all of that pain that he had gone through, but keeping that perspective and moving forward. And so thank you so much, Rabbi Danny. And Ashken, I know that you have very similar thoughts about the call to
Yeah,
action that you would like to
you
make.
know,
And
I want to just, in a kind of a very comfortable, what we call the helicopter view, give a little bit of what we call the Jewish history, little bit. And for I know a lot of people hear about, why Ashkan is looks like people from, why do we look like people like our brothers and sisters in Middle East, and then we have Jews that are looking like, people like you, Karen, from Europe. The answer is when a lot of people know that, Israelites got out of Egypt. So I'm not going to go on that. And when they came out, when they went to Israel, it was important for them to have the house of God. So house of God, they were carrying actually what we call the portable house of God when they were 40 years in desert, going through all those different, they received, all of them received the Torah, of course, and many stories that actually not is not just in our Torah, is also in Bible, and there's a lot of stories from, not stories, but also what we call the declarations from, Psalms of David. It's very popular among all religions, so it's all there for everybody to read. But the focus is they were carrying what was called a house of God, and it was very special how they take it until they got to Israel. And what happened was only the one we spoke about, David, King David. God told him, you know what, and King David was, his story, when you guys read, was very tough growing up. The king wants to kill you, and
yeah,
it's so much love. He really just loved God. He was probably, or it is the most person that loved God. And he brought his love, the book that we call Psalms of David. And I know when people read that for different occasions, right? Everyone, right? But why am I saying that? God said to you, I cannot have you build it because, your hands, you're an amazing king and a military guy. So your son, Solomon, that also we enjoy his teachings, will build it. So he did. He built the first house of God. And just fast forward, it was destroyed by Persians, and what we called it, sorry, not by Nebuchadnezzar, which was a big army. They defeated Tyre and then Egypt, the great Egypt then. And then they came, and what happened was when they destroyed it, they took the first time that Jews were exiled, they took them out into uh, these areas of Middle East. That's where we
yeah.
come from. My parents, my generations are from there. And I did. Why am I saying that? Because I wanted to connect it to, it's not a person. Any human being can be a great person until we had Cyrus the Great. The king of Persian Empire, and his people around him. He was the first one, as you guys know, brought the cylinder, the democracy that we enjoy in this country. They call him the cylinder. He brought the first that everyone have a freedom of religion, even though he was a head of 135 or 150 countries, from Africa all the way to China. He said every country, they need to practice their own language, their own. He was the greatest, one of the greatest king. And I always dub Morag as one of our current living Cyruses. Really, seriously, like that. And that's why I want to bring that parallelism too, because he said, oh my God, in Iran and Persia, Iran now, and some other areas, there are a lot of Jews. And he gave them the declaration that they can go back to Jerusalem and Israel and build the second temple again. So they did. And it's funny, I'm also, my Persian, my Jewish name that I go equal is called Mordechai. So it's actually is after one of those leaders that actually was a big story about it. That's another thing. But he also went to them to build it again. And actually, he was from Iran, and he was from an area of Iran with his niece that called Esther, Mordechai and Esther. So it's funny that
Yeah,
that's a
yes, I'm
yeah.
yes.
They built a house the second time, just so you know. And again, they had it, so it was beautiful, and there was a lot of miracles in it. Right now, the wall that you're talking about, that all the Jews are worshiping, which all the religions have their areas right now, where you have Nazareth, where Jesus walked, was 2 blocks down, and you have the holy mosque right there. But the wall that the Jewish people are praying to, that's what's standing from that first temple of Solomon, right there. And the second was built, unfortunately, it was again ruined by, Rabbi Danny can help me here. I think it was by Romans. Yeah, Romans. And again, the Romans, remember, they're going to take this again, going to take the Jews came back. Now they're going to take them out again. And that's the time they took them mostly into areas of what we call Europe and all those areas. And the reason I said that, I wanted to bring this back to Rebbe. And like any other leaders, we had amazing Jewish people. When they get exiled, what they do, they're so positive. They say, what? Yes, we can always really learn from what happened, but let's just go forward. Just go forward, build again. And their ideas, wherever they go, they like to build. And even though it's not their home, they are respectful of where they invited them. And, back then in Europe in 1930s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, Europe, Poland, Russia, this was millions of Jews. And, they were all living together, and yes, there were some of them that still were under anti-Semitism. Yeah, we always have that. But overall, in Germany, all those places, they had an amazing life. They had like America, unfortunately, when Hitler came, he really decided, what, the solution. We need, in order to get rid of them, what we need to do doesn't matter. Anybody that's a Jewish, women, children, elderly, and including some other races, that that also including people who were handicapped and stuff. They're all guilty of one thing, being who they are, and they're all sent to the one solution.
Yeah.
And that's very disgusting, but that's what happened. Over 40 million people actually perished, with that 6 million. So we also are, memoriam for them too, right? And why do I say that? So people have a little bit of understanding, when they came out of the Egypt, 40 years of desert, first temple, second temple, how we got into at least all the Middle East, and we went back by Cyrus. And then, unfortunately, what happened, they really went for the Jewish people of Europe. That's where they got to. And, they killed over a third of the population of what Rabbi Danny was talking about. And Rebbe was also from Russia, Poland, all those areas. His families, they were part of a dynasty of a 300 years old in 1700s, a gentleman by the name, the carrier of a good name. That was his name, Baal Shem Tov. He started a whole movement that, now we have to bring some part of mystical Torah, Kabbalah in, and now everybody needs to be educated. Women,
yes.
Children, everyone. And he was like the Bruce Lee. He brought it out, and there are many sectors from his teachings. I think it's all the same. It's just another way of looking at things, And then there was a sect. So when he was in 1700s in Europe, there was a rabbi called they call him the Two Lights, the Shnei Or, and he was one of his disciple of a disciple, and he started Chabad. What you hear Chabad, I want you to understand also. I know that all over the world, people see these amazing people like Rabbi Danny in the streets helping out everyone, Jews, non-Jews, and they put this on and helping. So that's how it started. And Chabad has 7 rabbis that took over the leadership. And they were in Europe, and actually it happened when the whole Holocaust happened. And they had to, Rebbe's father-in-law was the 6th Rebbe of Chabad. And actually, he had to be hidden. There are stories about they put him in a train and he didn't want to go. And how he came to New York, what they call the Crown Heights and the 770. And, when he was the 6th one, and when he passed away, his son-in-law, which was actually not just a rabbi, he was a nuclear physicist, mathematician. Rebbe was very, very educated. Everybody went, and he didn't have children, amazing wife. Also from Europe, also talk about, he had Holocaust stories of his family, a lot of them perished. How they brought his mother, long story about Rebbe. But the reason I want to, for Rabbi Danny's showcasing his, what we call Rebbe, he actually didn't want to take over the leadership of Chabad, for a year. And when somehow after he was actually so shy and introvert, he took over as the seventh Rebbe. And you know what? He became the Rebbe of the whole world. And he
Wow.
put out 10 teachings and also brought the 7 Noahic laws back, that the seculars can enjoy the 7 Noahic laws, and the Jewish people, he brought like 10 things they need to do, simple things like exactly giving what Rabbi Danny did. So 10 things. And the reason I want to emphasize on that, people that we know, like when people can go Google about this information, we have like example, our wonderful lady, Naomi Campbell. When Rebbe, after many years of being the Rebbe of everyone, not just Jewish, and he never left New York. He always was attending. He would see his wife 20 minutes a day. He would not change that. But his minutes, people, thousands would wait for him to get his dollars, to get his blessing. All those stories for another day. Naomi Campbell, on his 25th year of passing, which is just 5-6 years ago, and she never met him, put out a quote outside that whatever, she had a personal, private situation, and somebody told her, go to this Rebbe in New York thing, and his resting place is there. And usually you go and you write something to the Rebbe. He's just a messenger of a good light, and you put it in there. And I'm guessing, I didn't talk to her myself, that whatever it was fulfilled, because on that 25th, she put out the biggest post to 10 million people that, today I want to commemorate that he said, quote unquote, everyone's valued as long as you just look good in people. And
Yes.
her exact quote, I don't have to read for you, but she said, even though I have never seen him ever, but he inspired me and he influenced me, I'm going to become his emissary. And a lot of the people like we know, like Lomar Odom, that Rabbi Danny going to tell you about, he also got influenced by Rebbe's teaching. This is all, they were survivor of Holocaust. And these are our friends like non-Jews. Lomar, from Lakers, he was influenced, and also he took his family and kids over there. So this is how, it's not about a religion. When somebody like Rebbe that says, you know what, one of our commandments is, it's on my hand, love your your fellow like the way you love yourself. Rebbe was a perfect example of that. And as people are going to understand who Rebbe is, what he has done, check out the Naomi Campbell Rebbe, RBE. They understand. So today is really not just a memoriam, it's also education. Some of our mentors, and stories, if it touches one person like you, to go and also they start learning and reading Anne Frank, reading about the things you talked about, they will become their leaders in their communities to also bring light from the story, from the unfortunate situation of Holocaust, that maybe we can save at least, one life. Because in Judaism, when you save one life, you save the whole universe.
Right. Oh, Ashkan, you're so knowledgeable and so brilliant with all of your information about history and
I have a
and
rabbi, remember, my personal rabbi, right?
Yes, you have your own personal rabbi. I love hearing these stories. I did not know you were also Mordecai. I love Mordecai and how he remembered and wrote the journal, and then King Ahasuerus remembered and had a dream
that.
about
I
him.
didn't know you
Yes,
know.
I love that story. Yes, I love that story, and how he blessed, King Ahasuerus, and would call to Esther and wave to her every day, while she was in the kingdom. And what a powerful woman she was to, and I think about you and Rabbi Danny, that you're just like Queen Esther. Who knows, but you have come for such a time as this to help people to learn, to be educated, and to love. And so thank you so much. And Rabbi Danny, we have another guest that's going to come on, but before I bring up our next guest, could you tell us how you are helping the youth at J House to learn to love? Because so many times when we don't love ourselves and we get into addictions and things like that, it can be very hard to have love to give to other people. And so how are you helping them to find purpose? And to tell us about your J House, and then we'll bring up Barry Shores with us, and we'll bring him up next. Oops, except we can't hear you. Let me unmute you.
Yeah. They say the best way I was taught to teach Judaism says to be a dugma chai, which means a living example. I'm blessed, thank God, with 7 children, thank God. And I can tell my kids one thing, but do something else. My words are worthless. The best way of teaching somebody else is by being a living example. By living rather than saying. So first of all, I hang out with these kids, we go on trips, we go have fun, Palm Springs, San Diego, we have Jewish clubs, we have a daily table out to Beverly Hills High School, where 60 boys come do a prayer every day. They put on tefillin, do a prayer every day. We have non-Jewish kids coming out as well, they pray. So first of all is what I feel is one of the most difficult challenges of a generation today, especially here in LA, Beverly Hills, is entitlement. Because I feel entitled, if I don't get what I want, or I'm missing out, someone says something to me, the whole world falls apart. I have reason to be depressed, sad, etc. Number one is to be thankful and be humble. Don't be entitled. Whatever you have, you're lucky. What a blessing. Say thank you. That's it. Together with that, every month we have a food drive. We go to the veterans here in Los Angeles. We give our clothing, food. We teach them to share, to give, to care for one another. We make leaders to be in charge of these projects. I'm not in charge, they're in charge. It's their project. They collect the clothing, they give it out, they make a team. Giving to others, sharing with others. Of course, we have a lot of classes in Judaism, learning about things. Most people don't know, and therefore they're missing it. But if you learn about something, you know what it is, and you can choose whether I'm interested or I'm not interested. But first, actually learn about it. Judaism is so full of information, of lessons for life. In Hebrew, Torah, which is the Bible, is the same root as the word hora'ah, which means lesson. The Torah is not a history book. It's a lesson book for our life in 2025. It's relevant to every part of our life. It's really relevant.
Yes.
On the topic of the Holocaust, so first of all, of course, our job as Jews is to build, to move on. There's a little city in Israel called Kfar Chabad, a little village called Kfar Chabad village next to Tel Aviv, next to the airport. And in its early years, after a year it was built, there was a terrorist attack where terrorists came in. There's a middle of a Jewish school with little children. They're middle praying, wearing their tzitzit and their kippah, the yarmulke, and their tzitzit. He murdered the teacher and 11 children. There's pictures. You see the prayer books covered with blood. This is 1961. And they thought about closing the city, this little village, closing it down, And when this happens, the reason to shut it down, they're broken, they were shattered. Families missing a loved one, children. And the Rebbe, which told them to open the city, not only did he say don't close it down, he sent 20 new students to build it. There's thousands of families living there today. Massive. Tens of thousands of families living there today. Whenever there's destruction, our answer is to add more light, to do more, to give more. The Holocaust, what did Israel do? They built a country. There's no water, we make water. Make our own army. We build. We don't open our hands and feel be sad. Our action, with pain, with suffering, we don't forget. But we move forward and we build. The best action to Hitler want to destroy us. What do? We build more families, bigger families, more children, more schools, more institutions, more light. That's why when they came to the Federation, to the Rebbe, see them coming, the Rebbe every Sunday would give out dollars to people, to charity. And they came to the Rebbe asking for his blessing that every Passover home, which by the way, Passover is the biggest holiday that's celebrated by more Jews, more than Yom Kippur, is Passover. More Jews are involved in Passover than Yom Kippur. And they asked the Rebbe for his blessing to have at every Seder table an empty seat to commemorate the 6 million Jews, 1.5 million babies that were murdered in the Holocaust.
Mm.
The rabbi says it's a great idea. Add another seat and put someone there that would not come to the Seder. Bring another person. We don't commemorate by erasing or closing down. You want to destroy our synagogues? You want to hurt us? We'll build a second synagogue. We'll give more charity. We'll give more love. More and more. That is the answer. It's a Jewish answer. That's why we're the smallest nation. And every generation is trying to destroy us. Thank God we not just survive, but we thrive and we give to the world. And we'll keep going. Hamas, Hezbollah, all these will be history, the history books, but we are here. We're here to be a light amongst the world, to teach the world. That is the answer to anti-Semitism. That's the answer to the Holocaust. We move forward by doing more mitzvahs, more action of goodness and kindness. Since October 7th, more Jews have found a connection to Judaism and got more involved in Judaism. I mean, as a rabbi, the amount of students and people involved in our programs is incredibly different in the past 7-8 years I'm here. People are begging to be involved for purpose, for meaning, to how to be involved. Our job is to go with joy, not with sadness, with joy, with pride. God blessed us to teach the world, to give to the world, and be a light amongst the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rabbi Danny. That is so beautiful. More light, more love, and the darkness cannot extinguish the light. I wanted to thank you so much for being with us, and thank you, Ashkan. And I also wanted to welcome Barry Shore. And Barry, this is perfect timing for your message about more joy. And so, thank you.
May I properly bring him up? Okay, so because usually he's the host. We have Justin Rabbi Danny, as you know, it's a small community. Barry Shore, when he was in our community, pleasure having him for 20 years in Westside, and Vegas now has it. Actually, Rabbi Danny took over the shul that he used to go and pray and stand. So that's where, and we had a small shul that we celebrated all the different sects of Judaism. Now, Barry Shore is not just, I know him from our wonderful secular, he's not just the ambassador of joy. Everybody in the world has gotten a card smiling from many languages. I was growing up on it 30 years. But I want to tell you, I always know him as I see Moses. Whenever he was walking, I see Moses. And, today especially, as he has given so much light and joy and smiles to everybody all over the world, he joined us with a special message because, he's a wonderful practicing Jew. And you guys know that he really just living example of somebody that we call a Sadiq in Hebrew, means in English they call the righteous one. And it's my honor today as a guest co-host to bring him on, as he deserves, that somebody that doesn't just talk, he really living example, bringing smiles, happiness, what we're talking about, to every person, whether on his path or online. And I know he's a big part of LA Tribune, and he's like what we call the Jewish Santa of now third season, right? But today he's here to celebrate plus commemorate in his own way about all the people who are not here and don't have a voice anymore. But he's also, every Jew is a living legacy of those 6 million, and is my proud to have him on today. I want to make sure he has this proper edification that he deserves.
Thank you so much, Ashkan. Welcome, Barry, our ambassador of joy.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Now, Karen and Ashkan, Rabbi Danny and Mo, and everybody, all the tens of thousands, 100,000 people listening around the world, how can I call each and every single one of you good-looking? Because by definition, if you're involved with this Memorial Day, it means that you're always looking for and finding the good in life. That's the definition of a good-looking person, looking for and finding the good in life. I want to echo some of what Ashkan has brought forth, some of what Rabbi Danny has brought forth, with the words about example and the word about build. And I want to begin by asking two quick questions. Two simple questions regarding Holocaust, destruction, the decimation or the attempted decimation of people. 2 words, each of 3 letters. How? Why? Those 2 words echo throughout the millennia, not just the past 70, 80 years, but the millennia. How and why one group of people would even think of attacking any other group of people, anybody on the planet. How does hate arise? Why would hate arise? We, people of goodwill, people who are seeking out others of goodwill, people who are bringing to the world light, we urge everybody, turn your how and why from the HATE word into LOVE. We know that
Yes.
this word, Ashkan, that you mentioned, smile. Smile is one of the most important acronyms you could ever utilize, internalize, and leverage in your life, because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. Seeing
Yes.
miracles in life every day. Rabbi Danny just told us about Kfar Chabad, about being attacked, decimated, and building. Now, build is a wonderful word in English. You know how do you spell build? BUILD. I want everybody to understand that the U comes before the I. When you take
Yeah.
care of others, as Rabbi Danny said, they go out and they help give veterans food, take care with clothing, and all kinds of good things. When you build, think of the other. The I always is taken care of. That's how we get rid of the darkness in the world. When we understand that the how and the why, that the HATE is erased and replaced with LOVE, and we build together, one hand extended to another, then we can live in joy daily. Because here's one other acronym that I want everybody to understand. JOY stands for Journey of You. It's your journey. You get to choose your journey. And everybody should listen. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. No matter where you were raised, no matter under circumstances, however possibly difficult you think it was. I have known people who were raised with hate who are now dedicated to living with love. It is absolutely the greatest revelation in the world to use the LOVE word, living on vibrant energy. That's what love is, living on vibrant energy. Karen embodies it. Ashkan lives it. Rabbi Danny puts it forth. And Morak, I don't even have words, and I love words to share with you of how honored and humbled we are that you are using the LA Tribune to be that channel of goodness for the world. So, with your permission, Karen and Ashkan, I would like to ask everybody to open your arms wide. We're going to do a group hug of thousands of people around the world. Let me tell you all what HUG stands for. HUG stands for heartfelt, unlimited giving. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, wow. you know, um,
Go forth. Live
you know,
exuberantly. Spread the
I'm going to
seeds
take
of
a,
joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference.
Barry, stay. I want to take a minute and then bring Karen to wrap everything up. I don't know today to cry, to smile, to I'm like
Yes. Kashkan,
one of my eye has a
all of
tear
those.
on it, and the
All
other
of those.
I'm like,
Yes.
this is life, because life really has all, and we are each one of us in our own lives have the, it's not the up and down. We have the challenges, we have the blessings, we have everything. A mindset, and like Barry Shore is also a living example of, you can have a challenge, or your challenge can turn into the biggest blessing of your life in a moment. So really, I want to thank Karen Hall. Under 12 hours, Barry. Like last night, she texted me and she wanted to celebrate, and she has a background in understanding Holocaust and everything. Uh, and wow, having Rabbi Danny, having Barry Shore as a double agent today, right? And Morag, that I want to coin that living Cyrus among us, using the medium of democracy to bring about education, but something more bigger than all of this. we are here for you that you are watching right now, and for all the people that you're going to watch later. And it's always, aside from thanking, of course, God, our families, our friends, everyone who's behind Los Angeles Tribune. I don't want to leave out anybody: Ava, Alicia, Parisa, the doctor, my wonderful friend, Mr. Silvers, many, many friends I have, because with the leadership of Mo Rock, Los Angeles Tribune has become a global conscious conglomerate, not just using visual art, but and summits. And I remember they had the biggest, I say the Guinness Book of Record of leadership, 8 days, 80 hours. But at the end of the day, from the leader down to everyone that works here, a living example. Karen Hall last night, she spent over 3-4 hours with me, looking at many, many different, a lot of options what they can do today. They are living it. Los Angeles Tribune, really, whoever is involved with them, in whatever dynamic, do not please treat them as another collaboration network. They have showed today, and not just by their wonderful Jewish friends and community. They are all, when there was the storm, when we had the fires, last year when we had on the unfortunately October 7 attack, the first medium to put out in solidarity was Los Angeles Tribune. It's out there, while all the biggest ones, CNN and Fox, and they did not. It was the first one. I don't forget. It comes from the leadership of the CEO, Mo Rock, and everyone here. And I know I like to acknowledge, but sometimes you cannot acknowledge enough. For what happened today was really not an education. It's a renaissance of what we can do with such a tragedy that you cannot verbalize, but yet we can live and teach and transform from inside, transform others. So it's not about just Jewish people today, as I said. Today would be a testament to all of us to be the leader of the diversity in our house, in our community, city, state, country, and the world, but the other way, from the house first. Anywhere that you see bigotry, anywhere that you see in the school, bully, racism because of the gender, any that you think is not right, stand for it. And if you do that, today we have done our job, and we can say big thank to everyone at the Stands Tribune and Karen and everybody. So for me, that's the message. The action from today, you that watched us, the stories are, some of them are going to cry about it. And then tomorrow is a new day. Action would be, put it in action, join many, many organizations. Please look up Los Angeles Tribune. They have global partners from United Nations. Join all their wonderful volunteerism, whether it's homelessness, the dignity program, business programs. Join and give an hour. That's my action. That's my action to you. Join Los Angeles Tribune, ask, and then give to this wonderful movement that continuing, but expanding with this medium. And thank you from myself, from the Nanotor Enterprise team, from our all of our community, especially from our Jewish community, locally, nationally, internationally. I want to be the voice to say thank you.
Thank you, Ashkan, and thank you for being the voice to the voiceless, just like Mo Rock and his mission with the Los Angeles Tribune, because their memory lives on, and like I said, their legacy lives on in your life, in Barry building and spreading joy, and Rabbi Danny teaching the youth and being that example, and Sir. And Rabbi, yes, and I think about, so many times people say, oh, you should go do this thing and then you'll learn that thing. Well, he's serving side by side with them, and I know you do the same thing, and so does Barry, and Mo was out, serving at the shelters, and feeding the first responders, and involved in, and he just put out a call to action that we support the Los Angeles mission, and we just talked about that last week. So yes, thank you for reminding us about all of the wonderful causes that Mo Rock promotes and that he is involved with, and thank you for
absolutely, and thank you for bringing us all together. You brought all together. I mean, God and you, really, this was a production, Karen Hall and a big team behind her, really. I don't even know what happened in 12 hours. I usually have a lot of words, but when it comes to this, flabbergasted. So I leave it at that, okay?
Well, and I honor your mother and father, and I just appreciate so
Oh,
much that,
the other
that
way.
you are you
The other way.
yes, and you
There,
you
I'm
are
there.
yes, you are their gift to the world, and you bless
Woo!
me,
There you
and you
go.
bless so many. Yeah, so
Thank
thank
you.
you. And
I,
again,
yeah.
Mo wishes that he could be here, but he is not well, and so we are so sorry that he is sick. But we hope he gets better soon because he'll be back. And thank you, Mo, for offering this platform so that we could share this message and we could spread more joy and also remember and educate to have more love in this world. So thank you, Ashkan. Thank you for
Pleasure.
Rabbi Danny. Thank you for Barry. And thank you for all of the Los Angeles Tribune team for your help and support and for making this event possible.